On October 15th, 2025, the world's attention was fixed elsewhere, focused on distant conflicts in Europe and the Middle East. But deep in the Caribbean, a new and far more dangerous line was being drawn in the sky. This was not a training exercise. This was a direct, high-stakes military signal broadcast by the arrival of the most feared aircraft in the U.S. arsenal, the B-52 Stratofortress. Thousands of miles away, air defense radars in Venezuela lit up with an undeniable threat. A massive payload capable of delivering 20 tons of destruction, conventional or nuclear, was now sitting on the precipice of their sovereign airspace. The B-52 is not merely a bomber. It is a declaration of power. Designed to carry more than 31,500 kilograms of armament, its sheer presence changes the strategic calculus of any adversary. It can launch GPS-guided bombs, cruise missiles, or even nuclear ordnance, reaching targets more than 14,000 kilometers from its base without refueling. This mission was not about bombing Caracas. It was about demonstrating the chilling capability to do so. The message was clear. No regime in the hemisphere is safe from immediate, overwhelming U.S. air power. The journey began thousands of miles away, departing from a military installation in Louisiana. Tracking applications showed 3 bombers leaving U.S. airspace, but the initial visibility was a calculated deception. As the formation crossed the narrow strait between Cuba and Mexico, a geographical choke point, one of the 3 aircraft vanished. Its transponder went completely dark. For hours, as the 2 visible B-52s continued their southern trajectory, the location of the 3rd remained an unknown factor, a ghost in the machine. Was it a malfunction, or was this a deliberate, high-value asset already operating in the dark, gathering intelligence for the inevitable standoff? The strategic ambiguity was intentional. Maintaining an altitude of over 20,000 feet, the B-52s traversed the open Caribbean Sea. Their path was a calculated taunt, following international air lanes, but heading straight for the sensitive geopolitical theater that is the Venezuelan coast. This was not just a patrol. It was a test of the Maduro regime's commitment, a deliberate intrusion into their sphere of influence designed to elicit a reaction. Every military headquarters from Moscow to Tehran, nations with vested interests in Caracas would be watching this moment on their own intelligence feeds. The reaction from the regime in Caracas was immediate and desperate. As the American giants flew into a circular holding pattern just off their maritime border, the order was given: scramble the fighters. The aircraft that took to the air were not the advanced Sukhois, but aging, domestically maintained F-16 fighting Falcons. Venezuela was putting its pilots and its most capable interceptors directly into the line of fire. An outdated fighter jet against a modern strategic bomber escorted by the silent specters of American air superiority. While the Venezuelan F-16 was visible on some air traffic radars, the true depth of the U.S. operation remained invisible. Multiple reports suggested that the B-52s were not traveling alone. Their escort was likely comprised of F-35 stealth fighter jets and aerial refueling tankers. If the F-16 attempted an aggressive intercept, it would have been flying blind, approaching a perimeter protected by stealth aircraft, a domain where the enemy sees you long before you ever register their presence. The F-35, a platform engineered for information dominance, turns the skies into a strategic hunting ground. For an extended period, the 2 B-52s maintain their orbit. The tension, both on the ground in Venezuela and in the U.S. operational centers, was palpable. This holding pattern was the mission's zenith. It wasn't about dropping bombs. It was about holding that position, daring the adversary to make the first move. The pilots of the Venezuelan F-16 were now faced with an impossible strategic choice: push closer and risk annihilation by a technically superior unseen force, or stand down and accept the brazen violation of their national pride. The exercise was successful. The signal had been transmitted. Whether it was 150 kilometers or a slightly greater distance off the coast, the long-range threat was now a reality. This was a textbook application of deterrence, delivered not through diplomatic cables, but through raw, visible, long-range military might. It served as a clear warning to the Maduro regime and any external powers, China or Russia, that seek to establish a permanent military foothold in the U.S. sphere of influence. The region remains America's backyard. After completing their orbit and transmitting their strategic message, the massive aircraft began to turn back, moving closer toward the safe harbor of Puerto Rico. And then, as suddenly and dramatically as their arrival, the two visible bombers performed a final chilling maneuver. Coordinated, simultaneous, and absolute, both transponders clicked off. The visible threat vanished instantly from civilian and public radar. The sky went dark, but the implications remained. The B-52s, along with their suspected F-35 stealth escorts and the third Ghost bomber, were now an unaccounted-for strategic force, operating silently somewhere in the vastness of the Caribbean. Was the mission truly over? Was the immediate danger past? Or had the United States merely initiated a new phase of the shadow conflict? By demonstrating that they can project overwhelming firepower to Caracas's doorstep and then make that power disappear without a trace, the true question lingers. If they are not visible, what are they doing now? The standoff is over, but the strategic war for the Caribbean has only just begun. Subscribe and follow more stories from Warfare Report.